The alarm sounds were loud and scary. Red lights flashed all over the New Horizon trade station. Ji-hoon Park dropped his cargo box and looked around. People were running everywhere. Big aliens and small aliens all looked afraid. Emergency! Emergency! The station computer said in many different languages. Dangerous creature loose on level 7. All people must stay away from level 7. Ji-hoon was a cargo handler. He moved boxes from ships to the station every day. It was not exciting work, but he liked meeting aliens from all over the galaxy. Today was different. Today, something bad was happening. He walked toward the elevator. A tall blue alien with 4 arms stopped him. "Human, you cannot go there," the alien said. His voice was shaking. "The Shadow Maw is free. It will kill you." "Shadow Maw?" Ji-hoon asked. "Very dangerous pet. It belongs to the Valkyrie ambassador. Even the Valkyrie cannot control it most of the time. It needs special machines to keep it calm." More alarms went off. Ji-hoon heard scary sounds coming from above. Something was roaring. Something was breaking things. People were screaming. The blue alien ran away. Ji-hoon stood alone by the elevator. He thought about going back to work. But he heard a different sound now. It was not roaring, it was crying. Something was crying like it was hurt or scared. Got in the elevator and went up to level 7. The elevator doors opened. Ji-hoon saw a mess. Boxes were broken everywhere. The walls had big scratch marks. Some doors were bent and twisted. The lights were flashing on and off. He walked down the hallway. The crying sound got louder. Around the corner, he saw them. 10 security guards stood in a circle. They had big plasma weapons. Their weapons were glowing and ready to shoot. In the middle of the circle was the Shadow Maw. Ji-hoon had never seen anything like it. The creature was bigger than a horse. It looked like a big black cat, but it had wings. Its wings were folded against its back. Its eyes were bright red. Its teeth were long and sharp. Black smoke came off its body like it was on fire, but it was not attacking. It was sitting in the corner. Its head was down. It was making the crying sound. "Shoot it," one guard yelled. "Shoot it before it moves." "We cannot," another guard said. "If we kill the ambassador's pet, there will be trouble. If we do not kill it, it will kill us." The Shadow Maw looked at them. Its red eyes were sad, not angry. It made the crying sound again. "Wait," Ji-hoon said. He walked toward the circle of guards. The guards turned around. They looked shocked to see a human. "Get back," the first guard yelled. "You will die. Humans are weak. You have no armor. You have no weapons. That thing killed 3 guards already." Another guard said, "It broke through a metal wall. It can turn invisible. It can walk through walls." Ji-hoon looked at the Shadow Maw again. It was looking at him now. Its red eyes were big and round. It looked like a scared animal. "Can I try something?" Ji-hoon asked. "No, stay back." The guard captain stepped forward. He was a big green alien with bumps all over his skin. "I am Captain Nex. I have 20 years of experience with dangerous creatures. This is not a pet. This is a weapon. The Valkyrie use Shadow Maws in wars. They train them to kill. But it is not trying to kill anyone right now," Ji-hoon said. "It is just sitting there. It is waiting. When we move, it will attack." Ji-hoon did not think so. He looked at the creature again. The Shadow Maw was shaking. Its big body was moving like it was cold or scared. "Please let me try," Ji-hoon said. "I will be careful." "Absolutely not," Captain Nex said. "When you die, they will blame me." But Ji-hoon was already walking forward. The guards shouted at him to stop. Their weapons made charging sounds. They were ready to shoot. Ji-hoon walked slowly toward the Shadow Maw. His hands were empty. He was not trying to look scary or strong. He walked like he was approaching a lost dog. The Shadow Maw watched him come closer. Its red eyes got wider. It stopped crying. Its big body got tense like it was ready to run or fight. "Hey there," Ji-hoon said softly. "Are you okay? You look scared." The creature tilted its head. It looked confused. Ji-hoon stopped walking. He was now only a few steps away from the Shadow Maw. The guards behind him were very quiet. Everyone was waiting to see what would happen. I think you are lost, Jihoon said. This is a big place. It must be scary when you do not know where you are. The Shadow Maw made a small sound, not the scary roaring sound from before. A quiet sound like a question. Jihoon sat down on the floor. This surprised everyone. The guards made worried sounds. But Jihoon just sat there, cross-legged, like he was having a picnic. I know you miss your home, he said. Space stations are cold and loud. They smell like metal and machines. Not like home? The Shadow Maw stood up. It was huge when it was standing. Its head almost touched the ceiling. The guards raised their weapons, but the creature did not attack. Instead, it walked slowly toward Jihoon. Each step was careful and quiet. Jihoon did not move. He kept talking in his soft voice. You are a good boy, are you not? You did not mean to scare anyone. You just wanted to get out of that small room. The Shadow Maw stopped right in front of Jihoon. Its big red eyes looked down at him. Its breathing was heavy but calm. Jihoon slowly raised his hand. The creature watched his hand move up. Then Jihoon gently touched the Shadow Maw's nose. The creature closed its eyes. It made a sound like a big cat purring. There we go, Jihoon said. You just needed someone to be nice to you. The Shadow Maw lay down next to Jihoon. It put its big head on his leg. The black smoke stopped coming from its body. Its red eyes turned to a soft gold color. The guards stared with their mouths open. They lowered their weapons. How ... Captain Nex whispered. How did you do that? Jihoon gently petted the Shadow Maw's head. The creature was purring louder now. It sounded happy. I did not do anything special, Jihoon said. I just treated him like I would treat any scared animal. The Shadow Maw was now completely relaxed. It looked like a giant, strange cat taking a nap. But that is impossible, Captain Nex said. Shadow Maws only obey Valkyrie mind control. They are trained killers. They do not trust anyone, Jihoon smiled. Maybe he just needed a friend. News traveled fast on New Horizon Station. By the next morning, everyone knew about the human who calmed the Shadow Maw. Aliens stopped Jihoon in the hallways. They stared at him like he was some kind of magic person. Dr. Urakim heard about it. 2. She was a human scientist who studied alien animals. She worked in the station's research lab. When she heard what Jihoon did, she did not believe it at first. That cannot be true, she told her assistant. Shadow Maws are impossible to control. Without special machines, but then she saw the video. The station cameras had recorded everything. She watched Jihoon sit down and pet the creature like it was a house cat. This changes everything, she whispered. Dr. Yura went to find Jihoon. She found him in the cargo bay, back to his normal work. The Shadow Maw was with him. The big creature was sitting quietly in the corner watching Jihoon work. Hello, Dr. Yura said. I am Dr. Kim. I study alien animals. Can we talk? Jihoon smiled. Sure, this is my new friend. He pointed to the Shadow Maw. I call him Shadow. He follows me around now. Dr. Yura stared at Shadow. The creature looked calm and happy. Its eyes were still the soft gold color from yesterday. How is this possible? She asked. What did you do to him? Nothing special, Jihoon said. I just talk to him. I give him food, I pet him when he wants attention. But Shadow Maws are war creatures. They are trained to be weapons. Maybe he was tired of being a weapon, Jihoon said. Maybe he just wanted to be a pet, Dr. Yura thought about this. As a scientist, she needed to test things. She needed proof. There are other creatures on this station, she said. Creatures that no one can control. Would you like to meet them? Jihoon looked interested. What kind of creatures? Come with me, I will show you. They went to the research lab. Shadow followed them. Other workers stared as the huge creature walked calmly through the halls. The research lab had a special area called the quarantine bay. This was where they kept creatures that were too dangerous or too difficult to handle. These animals come from all over the galaxy, Dr. Yura explained. Most of them are pets that their owners cannot control anymore. Others are wild creatures that were captured. We study them to learn about their behavior. She led Jihoon to the first cage. Inside were three creatures that looked like birds, but they had metal feathers and glowing eyes. These are razor wings, Dr. Yura said. They only obey telepathic commands. Since humans do not have telepathy, they should ignore you completely. But if they feel threatened, they attack. The razor wings saw Jihoon and made angry screeching sounds. Their metal feathers stood up like knives. Can I go inside? Jihoon asked. Absolutely not, Dr. Yura said. They will hurt you. But Jihoon was already opening the cage door. The razor wings flew at him immediately. Dr. Yura screamed, but the birds did not attack. They landed on Jihoon's arms and shoulders. They made soft cooing sounds. Hey there, pretty birds, Jihoon said. He gently touched their feathers. You are beautiful. The razor wings rubbed their heads against his face. They were purring like cats. Dr. Yura could not speak. She just stared. What else do you have? Jihoon asked. Still shocked, Dr. Yura led him to another cage. This one was full of small floating creatures that looked like jellyfish made of light. Venom sprites, she said quietly. They attack anything that does not smell like their home. Planet, even wearing protective suits, our handlers get stung. Jihoon reached into the cage. The venom sprites floated over to him. Instead of stinging, they danced around his hand like they were playing. They are like living rainbows, Jihoon said, smiling. Dr. Yura sat down hard in a chair. This is impossible. You should not be able to do this. Why not? Jihoon asked. A venom sprite was sitting on his head like a glowing hat. Because you are human. Humans do not have the right biology. You do not have telepathy. You do not have the right pheromones. You do not have any of the things these creatures need. Jihoon shrugged. Maybe they do not need those things. Maybe they just need someone to be nice to them. Dr. Yura started, taking notes on her computer. As a scientist, she had to understand this. Show me more, she said. They spent the whole day going through the quarantine bay. Every single creature reacted the same way. Animals that were supposed to be dangerous became friendly. Creatures that never trusted anyone started following Jihoon around. By the end of the day, Jihoon had a parade following him. Shadow the Shadow Maw, 3 razorwings, a dozen venom sprites, and several other creatures Dr. Yura could not even name. I need to call the authorities, Dr. Yura said. They need to see this. The Valkyrie ambassador arrived that evening. His name was Vex Solar. He was tall and thin with purple skin. He was very angry about his shadow maw. Where is my pet? He demanded. I want him back immediately. Dr. Yura led him to the cargo bay. They found Jihoon sitting on the floor, surrounded by creatures. Shadow was lying next to him like a giant dog. The other animals were playing around. Impossible, the ambassador whispered. Shadow maws do not behave like this. They are weapons, not pets. Maybe that is the problem, Jihoon said. He does not want to be a weapon. He wants to be a friend. The ambassador tried to use his mind control device. It was a small machine that sent special signals to Shadow's brain. But Shadow did not respond. He just stayed next to Jihoon. This cannot be happening, the ambassador said. I paid millions of credits for that creature. It took years to train him. You can visit him anytime you want, Jihoon said. But I think he wants to stay here. Shadow made a happy purring sound and nuzzled Jihoon's arm. The ambassador left angry, but Dr. Yura stayed. She kept taking notes and asking questions. How do you know what they want? She asked. I just watch them, Jihoon said. Animals tell you things if you pay attention. When they are scared, they act one way. When they are happy, they act different. It is not hard to understand, but these are alien animals. They are not from Earth. So, scared is scared, happy is happy. It does not matter what planet you come from. Dr. Yura looked at all the creatures playing peacefully around Jihoon. She had spent years studying alien behavior. She had read thousands of research papers. But this simple human cargo worker understood these animals better than anyone. I think, she said slowly, that we have been doing everything wrong. What do you mean? We try to control these creatures. We use machines and drugs and training, but you do not try to control them at all. Why would I want to control them? Ji-hoon asked. They are not my slaves. They are my friends. Dr. Yura smiled. For the first time in her career, she felt like she was learning something truly important. Would you help me with my research? She asked. I think you could teach us a lot. Ji-hoon nodded. Sure, but first, do you have any food? I think Shadow is getting hungry. 3 weeks after the Shadow Maw incident, news reached the Galactic Biological Preserve. This was a huge space station far from any planets. It was where the galaxy kept its most dangerous creatures. Director Nalthuven was not impressed by the reports from New Horizon, humans calming a single Shadow Maw. He said to his assistant, Probably just luck. Or maybe the creature was sick. Director Nalthuven was from the crystalline hegemony, whose people looked like walking gemstones. They believed in science and logic. They did not believe in magic or luck. But sir, his assistant said, there are reports of humans calming many different creatures, different species, different danger levels. The pattern is consistent. Nonsense, the director said. Humans are a primitive species. They have no special abilities. They cannot even read minds or see in the dark. The director forgot about the humans. He had more important things to worry about. The preserve held over 10,000 dangerous creatures. Many of them required constant attention to keep them under control. But then the emergency happened. It started in transport. Bay 7, a new creature was being moved to a high-security cell. The creature was called an Omega Devourer. It was one of the most dangerous things in the galaxy. Omega Devourers were almost impossible to capture. They could walk through walls. They could become invisible. They fed on fear and anger, growing stronger when people were scared. This one had killed 17 trained handlers on different planets. Finally, the military captured it using a special sleep gas. Even asleep, it needed a team of 20 guards to transport it safely, but something went wrong during the transfer. The creature woke up, the first guard to see. Its eyes open, started screaming. The Omega Devourer fed on his fear immediately. It became larger and more solid. Emergency, the guard captain shouted. Code Black, Omega Devourer is awake. Alarms went off all over the station. Emergency teams rushed toward Transport Bay 7. They brought their best weapons and their strongest shields, but when they arrived, half the transport team was already unconscious. The Omega Devourer stood in the middle of the bay. It looked like a giant shadow with glowing red eyes. It was twice as big as when it first woke up. Do not show fear, the emergency captain yelled. Fear makes it stronger, but it was hard not to be afraid. The creature moved like smoke. When guards shot at it, their weapons went right through it. When it wanted to hurt someone, it became solid again. More guards fell. The creature grew bigger. Evacuate the bay, someone shouted. Seal the doors. But the Omega Devourer walked right through the sealed doors. It was now in the main station. Director Nalthuven watched from the command center. His crystalline face was changing colors with worry. How many creatures has it freed? He asked. 12 so far, his assistant reported. And it is heading toward the maximum security wing. If the Omega Devourer reached maximum security, it would free the most dangerous creatures in the galaxy. The station would become a nightmare. Call for help, the director said. Call everyone. Military, mercenaries, anyone who can handle dangerous creatures. But help was days away. They had hours at most. Then his assistant had an idea. Sir, there is a human cargo ship nearby. The Soul's Pride, they are delivering supplies to Sector 5. Humans? The director said. What can humans do that our trained professionals cannot? The reports from New Horizons, sir. Maybe the humans really can calm dangerous creatures. Director Nalthuven did not want to ask humans for help. It would be embarrassing. But people were dying and the situation was getting worse every minute. Fine, he said. Call them. Captain Minho Choi was eating lunch when the call came. He was the captain of Soul's Pride, a small cargo ship with a crew of 5 humans. You want us to do what? He asked after hearing the director's request. Please, the director said. His voice was desperate. "We have tried everything. The creature is too dangerous. We need help." Captain Choi looked at his crew. They were all good people, but they were not soldiers or animal experts. "I do not know," he said. "We are just cargo haulers." "I will try," said Engineer Sora Lim. She was the youngest member of the crew. "I like animals. Maybe I can help." "Sora, this is not a pet," Captain Choi said. "This thing has killed trained professionals. But the reports say humans have a special way with creatures," Sora said. "Maybe it will work." Captain Choi did not like it. But people were dying, and they were the only help available. "Okay," he said, "but we do this carefully." Soul's Pride docked with the Preserve 2 hours later. By then, the Omega Devourer had freed 30 creatures. The station was in chaos. Director Nauthuvan met them at the docking bay. He looked terrible. His crystalline skin was flickering between different colors. "Thank you for coming," he said. "But I must warn you. The situation is very bad." "Maybe it is too late. Where is the creature now?" Sora asked. "Level 12. It is trying to break into the Nightmare Wing. If it succeeds, Ish's sentence." Everyone knew what would happen. Sora nodded. "Take me there." They traveled through empty hallways. All the civilians had been evacuated. Only emergency teams remained, and most of them were unconscious or hiding. On level 12, they found the Omega Devourer. It was huge now, almost as big as the hallway itself. It was pounding on a massive metal door marked Nightmare Wing Authorized Personnel Only. Around it, freed creatures were causing chaos. But they all stayed back from the Omega Devourer. Even dangerous creatures were afraid of it. "There," the director whispered. "That is the Omega Devourer." Sora looked at the creature. It was scary, but she had seen scary things before. When she was little, she had found an injured dog in the rain. The dog was big and mean-looking. Everyone said it was dangerous. But when she got close, she saw that it was just hurt and scared. "It looks lonely," she said. "Lonely?" The director stared at her. "That creature has killed people." "Maybe it kills people because it is lonely and scared," Sora said. "Animals do that sometimes." Before anyone could stop her, Sora walked toward the creature. "Wait!" the director shouted. "You will make it stronger. It feeds on fear." But Sora was not afraid. She was sad. The creature looked so alone, even surrounded by all the chaos it had created. "Hey there," she called out. "Are you okay?" The Omega Devourer stopped pounding on the door. It turned to look at her. Its red eyes were bright and angry, but Sora did not run. She walked closer. "You look tired," she said. "All this fighting must be exhausting." The creature tilted its head. It looked confused. "I bet you miss your home," Sora continued. "Space stations are cold and lonely, not like the place where you came from." The Omega Devourer made a sound. It was not a roar or a growl. It was almost like a question. Sora sat down on the floor, just like Jihoon had done with the Shadow Maw. "I know you are angry," she said. "People captured you. They put you in a cage. They treated you like a monster. That must have hurt your feelings." The creature came closer. With each step, it got smaller. The fear in the area was going away. So it was losing its power. "But you do not have to be angry anymore," Sora said. "You can choose to be something else." The Omega Devourer stood right in front of her now. It was still big, but not as big as before. Its red eyes looked down at her. Sora slowly reached out her hand. The creature sniffed her fingers. Then, very gently, it nuzzled her palm. "There we go," Sora said, smiling. "You are not a monster. You are just lonely." The Omega Devourer lay down. Next to her, as it relaxed, it became even smaller. Soon it was the size of a regular dog, but made of shadow and starlight. Director Nauthuvan watched with his mouth open. The most dangerous creature in his facility was cuddling with a human. Like a pet. "How?" he whispered. Sora looked up at him. "I think he just needed a friend." Professor Hyunwoo Jang received the emergency call while he was teaching at the Human Academy on Earth. He was a behavioral scientist who studied how people and animals interact. "Professor," his assistant said, running into the classroom. "You?" Need to see this immediately. She showed him videos from across the galaxy, humans calming dangerous creatures. Humans making friends with aliens' deadliest pets. The same thing was happening on dozens of different space stations. This is fascinating, Professor Zhang said, but also very strange. He canceled his classes and started researching. He called every human who had calmed an alien creature. He studied their methods. He looked for patterns. What he found surprised him. None of the humans were using special technology. None of them had special training. Most of them were ordinary people with ordinary jobs, but they all did the same things. They spoke in soft, calm voices. They moved slowly and carefully. They sat down to make themselves seem less threatening. They offered food and comfort. Most importantly, they treated the creatures like friends, not weapons. It is so simple, Professor Zhang told his research team. Almost too simple. Meanwhile, the Galactic Council was meeting on the neutral planet Concordia. Representatives from hundreds of different species gathered to discuss the human problem. Supreme Mediator Vexlian called the meeting to order. Vexlian was an ancient being who looked like a tree made of crystal. His species was known for being fair and wise. We are here to discuss recent events involving humans and dangerous creatures, Vexlian announced. Some species claim that humans have special abilities. Others say this is impossible. The Valkyrie ambassador stood up first. He was still angry about losing his shadow maw to Jahun. Humans are primitive, he declared. They have no telepathy, no pheromones, no neural control devices. Yet somehow they can control our most advanced weapon creatures. This is either fraud or some kind of unknown technology. I disagree, said Dr. Yura Kim. She was now representing humanity at the council. Humans are not controlling these creatures. They are befriending them. Befriending, the Valkyrie ambassador laughed. Shadow maws are not friends. They are weapons of war. Maybe that is the problem, Dr. Yura said. Maybe these creatures do not want to be weapons. This caused an uproar in the council chamber. Many species had spent thousands of years developing war creatures. The idea that these creatures might prefer peace was shocking. General Korthmax of the Zorvan Empire slammed his armored fist on his table. Ridiculous! We have bred our battle beasts for aggression and loyalty. They exist to serve us in war. When was the last time you asked them what they wanted? Dr. Yura asked. General Korthmax stared at her. Ask them? They are animals. You do not ask animals what they want. Humans do, Dr. Yura said simply. Security Chief Neon Ezio was also at the meeting. She was there to demonstrate the human method. The council had arranged for her to work with a Void Striker, one of the most difficult creatures to handle. Void Strikers lived partially in hyperspace. They could appear and disappear at will. They had never been successfully contained for more than a few hours. The demonstration was held in a special chamber beneath the council building. Representatives watched through protective barriers. The Void Striker was brought in a special containment field. It looked like a Volf made of stars and darkness. Its eyes were swirling galaxies. It moved in and out of reality like a living shadow. This creature has escaped from every facility in the galaxy, the technician explained. It phases through any cage we build. It ignores all forms of communication. Naian entered the chamber alone. She had no weapons, no special equipment. Just a bag of treats and a soft blanket. The Void Striker appeared in front of her immediately. It snarled, showing teeth made of pure energy. Naian did not run. She sat down and spread the blanket on the floor. Hello, she said calmly. I brought you something comfortable to sit on. The Void Striker circled her, moving in and out of different dimensions. It was testing her, looking for fear or aggression, but Naian just sat there peacefully. She pulled out a small device and started playing soft music. This is from Earth, she said. It is called classical music. I thought you might like it. The Void Striker stopped circling. Its head tilted, listening to the music. I know you are far from home, Naian continued. Space can be lonely when you are the only one of your kind around. The creature moved closer. Its starry eyes looked curious instead of angry. Neon reached into her bag and pulled out a glowing cube. It was a special treat made from crystallized starlight. I researched what void strikers eat in the wild, she said. I thought you might be hungry. She placed the cube on the blanket and moved back. The void striker approached carefully. It sniffed the cube, then ate it quickly. Its eyes brightened. Good? Neon asked, smiling. The creature made a sound like wind chimes in a gentle breeze. It sounded almost like purring. Neon pulled out more cubes. But instead of just giving them away, she played a simple game. She would place a cube somewhere, and the void striker would have to find it. Soon the creature was playing happily, appearing and disappearing as it searched for treats. But it always came back to the blanket where Neon sat. After an hour, the void striker curled up on the blanket next to her. It was still partially in hyperspace, looking like a living constellation. You can leave any time you want, Neon told it. I'm not going to lock you up, but if you want to stay and be friends, I would like that. The void striker nuzzled her hand with its cosmic snout. In the observation chamber, the alien representative sat in stunned silence. She is not controlling it, Supreme Mediator Vexlian said slowly. She is not forcing it to obey. The creature is choosing to stay. But how? Asked the crystalline representative. What is she doing that we cannot do? Professor Zhang, who had been invited to observe, stood up to explain. The difference is in the approach, he said. Most species try to dominate dangerous creatures. You use fear, technology, or force to make them obey. Of course, said General Korthmax. That is, how you control dangerous animals? But humans do not try to control them, Professor Zhang continued. We try to understand them. We ask ourselves, why is this creature angry? What does it need? How can we help it feel safe? That sounds weak, the Zorvan general said. Does it? Professor Zhang gestured toward the chamber, where Neon was gently petting the void striker. Your methods require constant force to maintain control. Our method creates genuine cooperation. Dr. Yura stepped forward. We have been studying this for months now. Every case is the same. Humans succeed because they treat dangerous creatures like individuals with feelings, not like weapons or tools. Feelings? The Velkari ambassador looked disgusted. They are animals. All animals have feelings, Professor Zhang said. Fear, loneliness, hunger, the need for companionship. Humans understand this instinctively. We have been living with animals as partners for thousands of years. Partners? General Korthmax stood up angrily. Animals are not partners, they are property. Maybe that is why your creatures keep trying to escape, Dr. Yura said quietly. This comment caused another uproar. But Supreme Mediator Vexlian raised his hand for silence. I propose an experiment, he said. Let us observe both methods side by side. Traditional control versus human befriending. We will see which works better. The vote was close, but the proposal passed. As the council meeting ended, representatives gathered in small groups to discuss what they had seen. Some were convinced that the human method was better. Others remained skeptical. But in the demonstration chamber, Neon and the Void Striker were still sitting together peacefully. The creature had fully materialized and was purring contentedly. See? Neon said to the watching crowd. He is not dangerous, he was just lonely. For the first time in its life, the Void Striker had found someone who saw it as more than a weapon. And for the first time in galactic history, a impossible-to-contain creature was choosing to stay in captivity, not because it was forced to, but because it wanted to. 6 months after the Galactic Council meeting, something amazing happened. The news spread across every space station, every planet, every ship in the galaxy. The Zorvan Empire's war beasts were running away. It started on the military planet Zorthak. General Korthmax was inspecting his battle beast training facility when the first escape happened. A pack of 12 Razor Hounds broke out of their combat training area. These creatures were bred for war. They had metal teeth and armor-plated skin. They were trained to attack on command and never retreat, but instead of attacking anyone, They ran straight to the spaceport. A human cargo ship called Earth's Gift was docked there for repairs. The ship's engineer, Daeho Park, was outside checking the engines when the Razorhounds found him. "Uh-oh," Daeho said when he saw 12 war beasts running toward him, but the creatures did not attack. They sat down in front of him and whined. Like puppies asking for attention. "Are you guys okay?" Daeho asked. "You look sad." The Razorhounds wagged their tails. Their metal armor was scratched and dented from harsh training. Some of them had old scars. Daeho felt sorry for them. He pulled out his lunch and shared it with the creatures. They ate gratefully, like they had been hungry for a long time. When the Zorvan soldiers arrived to recapture the beasts, they found them sleeping peacefully around Daeho. "What did you do to our weapons?" the squad leader demanded. "Nothing," Daeho said. "I just gave them some food and talked to them nicely. They are trained killers. They do not respond to kindness." But when the soldiers tried to take the Razorhounds back, the creatures refused to go. They hid behind Daeho and whimpered. "I think they like it here," Daeho said. "This was just the beginning." Over the next few weeks, more war beasts escaped from Zorvan facilities. They all did the same thing. They found the nearest humans and asked for help. General Korthmax was furious. "This is impossible. We have spent centuries breeding the perfect war creatures." "Maybe they do not want to be perfect war creatures," suggested his aide, a younger Zorvan named Sub-Commander Veltar. "Do not be ridiculous," the general shouted. "They are property. They exist to serve the Empire." But the escapes continued. Soon, half of the Zorvan military's creature forces had run away to find humans. The same thing was happening in other parts of the galaxy. The Velkari Shadow Maws were refusing orders and seeking out human ships. The crystalline hegemony's mining. Creatures stopped working and wandered off to find humans who would pet them and call them good. Ambassador Taiho Wu had become humanity's representative to the Galactic Council. He was a smart diplomat who understood that this situation could either make humans very popular or get them in serious trouble. "We need to handle this carefully," he told the emergency council session. "We do not want to steal anyone's creatures. But we cannot turn away animals that come to us asking for help. They are not asking for help." General Korthmax slammed his fist on the table. "They are property. Valuable property that humans are somehow stealing. How can we steal creatures that come to us willingly?" Ambassador Taiho asked. "You must be using some kind of mind control." The Velkari ambassador accused. "There is no other explanation." Supreme Mediator Vexlian had been watching the debates for weeks. His ancient mind was processing all the information slowly and carefully. "I propose a test," he said finally. "Let us observe what happens when creatures are given a choice." "What kind of choice?" asked the crystalline representative. "A simple one. We will place a creature between its current owner and a human. We will see which one it chooses to go to." The test was arranged on neutral ground. Representatives from dozens of species came to watch. The first test subject was a Velkari Shadow Maw named Kethver. It was owned by Ambassador the Shadow Maw was. Placed in the middle of a large room. On one side stood its Velkari handler with all his control equipment. On the other side stood a human volunteer named Minjin Lee, a simple mechanic from a cargo ship. "Kethver, come." The Velkari handler commanded, using his neural control device. The Shadow Maw turned toward its handler. Its training told it to obey, but it hesitated. Mijun did not give any commands. He just sat down on the floor and pulled out a small toy ball. "Hey there, beautiful creature," he said softly. "Would you like to play?" The Shadow Maw looked back and forth between the two options. Its handler represented years of strict training, harsh discipline, and being treated like a weapon. Minjin represented something it had never experienced. The choice to be a pet instead of a tool. The Shadow Maw walked to Minjin and lay down beside him. The test was repeated with dozens of different creatures from different species. The result was always the same. When given a free choice, the creatures chose humans every time. "This proves nothing," General Korthmax declared. "You have corrupted them somehow." But even as he spoke, his own aide was watching thoughtfully. Sub-Commander Veltar had been thinking about these events for weeks. "General," Veltar said quietly, "may I ask you something?" "What?" "When was the last time you saw one of our battle beasts truly happy?" General Korthmax stared at his aide. "Happy? They are not supposed to be happy. They are supposed to be effective." "But, sir, what if they could be both?" The general did not answer. But later that night he went to his private quarters and watched videos of humans with creatures. He saw razorhounds playing fetch. He saw shadowmaws purring while being petted. He saw war beasts acting like pets for the first time. In his long military career, General Korthmax wondered if there might be a better way. Meanwhile, the Galactic Council was dealing with a crisis. Hundreds of species were demanding that humans return their escaped creatures. But the creatures refused to leave their human friends. "We cannot force them," Ambassador Taiho said during another emergency session. "That would be cruel." "They." "Our property," the Velkari ambassador shouted. "Are they?" Supreme Mediator Vexlian asked. "If a thinking being chooses where to live, can it truly be called property?" This question sparked a debate that lasted for days. Some species insisted that creatures were tools to be owned. Others began to wonder if their pets might have rights and feelings. The breakthrough came from an unexpected source, Dr. Yura. Kim had been studying the escaped creatures for months. She discovered something remarkable. "The creatures that live with humans are healthier," she announced to the council. "They live longer, they are more intelligent, and they reproduce more successfully. By every scientific measure, they are thriving." "Impossible," said the crystalline representative. "I have the data," Dr. Yura continued. "Creatures under human care show increased brain activity, better physical health, and improved emotional stability. The human method is not just more humane, it is more effective." She showed videos comparing creatures in traditional facilities with those living with humans. The difference was obvious. The creatures with humans looked happy, healthy, and alert. The others looked tired and sad. Furthermore, Dr. Yura added, creatures raised by humans from birth show remarkable abilities. They learn faster, solve problems better, and form complex social bonds. We have been wasting their potential by treating them as mere tools. The evidence was overwhelming. But changing thousands of years of tradition would not be easy. Then something happened that changed everything. A young Zorvan soldier named Crixtal found an injured shadow, Volf, in the ruins of an old battle. Instead of leaving it to die or putting it out of its misery, he remembered what he had heard about human methods. He sat down next to the wounded creature and spoke to it gently. He shared his food and water. He stayed with it through the night, talking to it and keeping it warm by morning. The shadow Volf was following him like a loyal companion. When Crixtal's unit found him, they were amazed. The shadow Volf was a species known for being completely untamable. Yet here it was, obeying a Zorvan soldier who was using human methods. Word of this spread through the Zorvan military. Soon, other soldiers were trying the human approach with their own creatures. General Korthmax could no longer deny what was happening. His own soldiers were proving that the human method worked better than traditional training. "Perhaps," he said slowly during the next council meeting, "we should consider making humans the official caretakers of dangerous creatures." The room fell silent. This was a huge change of heart from someone who had opposed humans from the beginning. "If humans are better at this than we are," the general continued, "then maybe we should let them do it." The vote was held the next day. By a narrow margin, the Galactic Council officially recognized humans as the galaxy's premier creature specialists. Ambassador Taiho stood up to make humanity's acceptance speech. "We are honored by your trust," he said. "But we want to be clear about something. We do not want to own these creatures. We want to be their friends. There is a difference." "What difference?" asked the crystalline representative. "Friends choose to be together," Taiho explained. "They care about each other's happiness. They respect each other's choices. That is what humans offer these creatures, not ownership, but friendship." As the council session ended, representatives began discussing the practical details of the new arrangement. How would this work? How would creatures be transferred to human care? What rights would the creatures have? But in the end, it was simpler than anyone expected. The creatures had our 1 year after the Galactic Council's decision. The galaxy was a very different place. Admiral Yunji Bei stood on the observation deck of the Human Pet Care Service's headquarters. It was a massive space station called Haven that orbited a peaceful star system. Through the windows, she could see dozens of smaller stations and ships. Each one was home to humans and their alien creature friends. What had started as a few random encounters had become a galaxy-wide organization. "Admiral," her assistant said, approaching with a datapad. "The morning reports." Admiral Bay smiled as she read the numbers. Over 50,000 creatures from hundreds of different species now lived in human care. More arrived every day. "Any problems?" she asked. "Just the usual," her assistant replied. 3 more species requesting help with impossible creatures. The vegan collective wants us to take their storm eagles. Apparently, they have been causing hurricanes on their home planet. "Schedule a consultation," Admiral Bay said. "But make sure they understand. We do not take creatures away from loving homes. We only help with creatures that are unhappy or dangerous." This had become the standard policy. Humans would not steal anyone's pets, but they would gladly help creatures that were being mistreated or misunderstood. The real success stories were not the dramatic rescues. They were the quiet transformations happening every day. Down in Section 7 of Haven Station, Ji-hoon Park was having lunch with his friends. The cargo bay where he used to work alone was now a bustling community center. Shadow the Shadow Maw was lying in a sunny spot, purring while 3 venom sprites groomed his fur. The Razorwings were playing a game with some young Phylorian refugees. A pack of former Zorvan battle beasts was napping in a pile like oversized puppies. "Remember when this place was just for storing boxes?" asked Daeho Park, who had transferred to Haven after his encounter with the escaped Razorhounds. "I remember when Shadow was supposed to be a dangerous weapon," Ji-hoon replied, watching the massive creature roll over so a small alien child could pet his belly. Dr. Yura Kim joined them for lunch. She was now the head of the Interspecies Behavioral Research Institute. "The latest studies are remarkable," she told them. "Creatures living in human care show intelligence levels we never imagined. Some of them are learning to communicate using simple symbols. Others are showing problem-solving skills that rival sapient species." "Maybe they were always that smart," suggested Sora Lim, who had become the director of the Dangerous Creature Rehabilitation Program. "Maybe no one bothered to find out before." This was the heart of the human approach. While other species had focused on what creatures could do for them, humans were interested in what the creatures could become. The results spoke for themselves. Not a single creature had tried to escape from human care. Violence was almost unknown. The supposedly dangerous creatures spent their days playing, learning, and enjoying life. But the biggest change was happening among the alien species themselves. On the Zorvan homeworld, Sub-Commander Veltar, now promoted to general, was implementing new policies for the Empire's military creatures. "From now on," he announced to his troops, "we treat our battle beasts as partners, not weapons. They will have comfortable quarters, regular rest time, and plenty of positive interaction with their handlers." The old guard grumbled, but the results were immediate. Creatures that had been sullen and aggressive became eager and cooperative. Training times improved, injuries decreased. The feared Zorvan battle beasts became the most effective military creatures in the galaxy because they were finally happy. General Korthmax had retired, but he visited Haven Station regularly. He had adopted an elderly Razorhound named Scar, who had been retired from military service due to old injuries. "I spent 40 years trying to make creatures obey through fear," he told Admiral Bay during one visit. "I wasted 40 years. Scar is more loyal to me now than any creature ever was when I forced them to obey." The Velkari had made similar changes. Ambassador Thex Uller had developed a new philosophy about Shadow Maws. We created them to be weapons, he explained to a gathering of diplomats. But the humans taught us that they could be so much more. A happy shadow maw is stronger, smarter, and more effective than an angry one. Even the proud crystalline hegemony had admitted that humans were better at creature care. Director Nalthuven now worked closely with Haven Station, sending his most difficult cases to human specialists. Logic demands that we use the most effective methods, he said. And human methods are simply superior. But perhaps the most dramatic change was happening on New Horizon Station, where it all began. Captain Nex still worked station security, but his job was very different now. Instead of hunting dangerous creatures, he helped facilitate peaceful meetings between different species. The station had become a model for interspecies cooperation. Creatures that had once required armed guards now roamed freely, playing with children and helping with daily tasks. Dr. Dongyun Oh had opened a veterinary clinic that served the entire sector. Aliens brought their sick pets from dozens of star systems, knowing that the human doctor would treat their creatures with genuine care. It is strange, Dr. O told his alien colleague, a Thylorian healer named Zendith. For so long, everyone thought humans were weak because we did not try to dominate other species. Now they realized that our gentleness was actually our greatest strength. Zendith nodded thoughtfully. Perhaps strength is not about making others fear you. Perhaps true strength is about making others trust you. As the first anniversary of the Galactic Council's decision approached, a special celebration was planned. On Haven Station, representatives from every major species would attend to observe the success of the human pet care program. But the real celebration was happening in the everyday moments. In Section 12, Engineer Minjin Lee was teaching a group of young shadow maws how to play fetch. The creatures had been born in human care and had never known anything but kindness. They were gentle, playful, and intelligent, everything their species could be when raised with love instead of trained for war. In the research labs, Professor Hyunwoo Jang was documenting new discoveries about creature intelligence and emotion. Every day brought new proof that these animals were far more complex and capable than anyone had imagined. In the medical bay, Neon SEO was caring for a sick void striker. The creature had been injured while protecting its human family from pirates. It could have phased away to safety, but it chose to stay and fight for the people it loved. You are very brave, Neon told the creature as she bandaged its wounds. But next time, please be more careful. We would be very sad if something happened to you. The void striker purred, a sound like distant thunder. Its galaxy eyes looked at her with pure affection. These moments happened countless times every day. Across the galaxy, humans and creatures caring for each other, protecting each other, and simply enjoying each other's company. The great irony was not lost on anyone. The species that had been considered weak and primitive had become the most important caregivers in the galaxy. The creatures that had been called monsters and weapons had become beloved friends and family members. As Admiral Bay prepared for the anniversary celebration, she reflected on how much had changed. A year ago, humans had been just another minor species trying to make their way in a vast galaxy. Now they were essential to galactic civilization, not because they had conquered anyone, but because they had befriended everyone. Admiral, her assistant said, interrupting her thoughts. The ceremony is about to begin. Admiral Bay walked to the main assembly hall. Thousands of beings filled the space, humans, aliens, and creatures all mixed together in peaceful harmony. Supreme Mediator Vexlian stood at the podium, his crystalline form shimmering in the light. 1 year ago, he began, we faced a crisis. Dangerous creatures across the galaxy were becoming impossible to control. We thought we needed better weapons, stronger cages, more powerful control devices. The crowd listened quietly. But then, humans showed us something we had forgotten. These creatures were not our enemies. They were not even our tools. They were our potential friends, waiting for someone to treat them with kindness. Vexlian gestured toward the mixed crowd. Look, around you. Former war beasts playing with children. Creatures that once required armed guards now serving as gentle helpers. What we called impossible, humans made simple. The mediator's voice grew warm with emotion. Humans did not solve our problem with superior technology or greater force. They solved it with something far more powerful: empathy. They looked at our monsters and saw lonely animals that needed love. A cheer rose from the crowd. Humans and aliens applauded together while creatures of all shapes and sizes made happy sounds. Today, we celebrate not just the success of the human pet care services, Vexlian continued. We celebrate the lesson they taught us all, that true strength comes not from dominance, but from compassion. As the ceremony continued, Jihun found himself standing next to Shadow. The massive Shadow Maul looked content and peaceful, his golden eyes reflecting the celebration around them. Who would have thought? Jihun murmured to his friend. All this started because you were scared and I wanted to help. Shadow nuzzled his hand gently.